On Tuesday the 14th of January 2020, and over a decade after its release, Microsoft ended support for Windows 7. This meant that users running any version of Windows 7 no longer received free security patches through Windows Update. Any versions, that is, except volume licensed Professional and Enterprise editions, which were eligible to receive paid extended security updates for up to 3 years via Microsoft's Extended Security Updates or ESU program. That means that the 10th of January 2023 is a massive milestone in the history of Windows, and for me personally, as I'm sure is true for most of you, a really sad one, because today marks the true end of support for Windows 7, one of the most popular and loved versions of Windows. Although it's worth mentioning that the server equivalent of Windows 7, Windows Server 2008 R2, will be supported until the 9th of January 2024 for customers of Microsoft's Azure cloud computing platform. Windows 7 was born out of the poor public reception to its predecessor, Windows Vista. Vista was the outcome of the longest Windows development process in history, taking around 5 years from start to finish. Upon its eventual release, Vista was plagued by compatibility issues, lack of support from PC manufacturers, and extremely high system requirements that many customers did not already have and simply could not afford. Microsoft set out to fix Vista's poor reception with a new release of Windows. In July 2007, 6 months following the release of Vista, it was reported that the next version of Windows would be released within 3 years, and would focus on performance and compatibility improvements. In October 2008, Corporate Vice President of Windows Product Management at the time, Mike Nash, announced the name of this next version of Windows, which had been known during its development as Windows Codename 7 as Windows 7. This marked the first time a Windows codename had been retained as a final name. Mike explained,
"The decision to use the name Windows 7 is about simplicity. Over the years, we've taken different approaches to naming Windows. We've used version numbers like Windows 3.11 or dates like Windows 98, or aspirational monikers like Windows XP or Windows Vista. And since we do not ship new versions of Windows every year, using a date did not make sense. Likewise, coming up with an all-new aspirational name does not do justice to what we are trying to achieve, which is to stay firmly rooted in our aspirations for Windows Vista while evolving and refining the substantial investments in platform technology in Windows Vista into the next generation of Windows. Simply put, this is the 7th release of Windows, so therefore Windows 7 just makes sense."
The latest release of Windows 7 is Service Pack 1, which arrived on the 22nd of February 2011, around 6 months before the release of its controversial successor, Windows 8, which ditched many of Windows 7's popular features, such as the Start button and Start menu. On the 14th of January 2015, Windows 7 moved into what is known as its extended support phase. Since then, it received no new feature updates, and instead only important security updates in accordance with Microsoft's Windows lifecycle policy. And so, officially at least, the curtain has finally been drawn on all editions of Windows 7, and it's time for the operating system to gracefully retire. Unlike the demise of Windows Vista in 2017, the end of support for Windows 7 affected a much greater proportion of computer users, with an estimated 25% of desktop computers still running the operating system on its general end of support date back in 2020. It served us well over the last decade and beyond, and as one of the most popular and loved versions of Windows, I'm sure its story is far from over. So goodbye Windows 7, and thanks for the memories.